anti-war protest in Trafalgar Square, which is one of the largest public gathering places in the world. The demonstrators were protesting the war in Afghanistan, Tony Blair's continued support of President Bush, and the ongoing threat of an attack on Iraq.
We feel that a lot of reasons for the war are imperialistic reasons, basically to extend American power and also to protect oil interests as well.
Really, they're not going to get Osama bin Laden by doing that. They're just going to cause more deaths. That's not going to do anyone any good.
Threat of war spinning out of control is very real.
I believe it's not really a war against terrorism. It's more of a war of American priorities, and it is basically, I think, September the 11th is used as an excuse to eliminate who America considered to be terrorists.
More Afghani civilians died during the bombing than were killed on September the 11th in America. Americans, it's like collective retribution against, civilian people.
It's also bad how America and other organizations are basically demonizing Islam.
I started reading a little of the information they're handing out, and I felt that they don't get the same news that we get over here. They thought that, Bush and Tony Blair only were trying to fight wars for oil interests and other reasons.
If you need some inspiration to do it, remember that the thousands of people who've been killed in Afghanistan have been killed in your name.
The common man over there is definitely not a George Bush fan.
I would question the American people whether they have really elected a president who is in their best interest, or whether they perhaps have been won over by the massive party machine.
Don't like him very much, just because I think he doesn't like Muslims, and I'm a Muslim.
Well, he's a criminal of the worst sort.
Bush, I just think, is going to end up being a warmonger.
He is quite frightening, we think.
I'd have to agree with him in a lot of ways. I feel that George Bush is kind of more interested in his own personal agenda as opposed to what may be completely best for the country.
We spoke with an Iraqi man who wants Saddam Hussein indicted and kicked out of power.
I think the bombing of Iraq is worthless. This is the American duty. They supported Saddam. They should topple him, not by war, not by killing, but by indicting him.
A term we heard over and over again was American policy. But could our policies have caused September 11th?
In some ways it has brought it upon itself.
The September 11th tragedy could not have happened without people being driven to such states that they are prepared to destroy themselves, young people.
So if war's not the solution, what is?
Usually if someone's committed a crime, you gather evidence and prosecute them. That would be a much better solution.
Well, we say world socialism, international socialism.
The only real way of addressing an issue such as terrorism is to try and discover how the thing occurred in the first place, what kind of motivations there was. Why are the people that are willing to sacrifice not just other people's lives, but their own lives as well?
They don't turn on CNN every day and, see bodies being pulled out of the rubble. I remember getting home and I saw the firefighters still being pulled away, and these people are, protesting a war because we're the bad guys. I mean, I think they have it wrong because I don't think they understand.
Well, after taking the interviews to the streets, I thought we might get a different perspective because you're not at an anti-American protest. I thought, okay, we might find people that, are for what we're doing. And it was very shocking to go to the streets and find out that people are against our government, against our policies. And if this is what London thinks, I thought of them as like a brother country. What does the rest of the world think about us?
I think a lot of people would probably think, how long do you keep it up and how deeply do you go into it?
I just think it's the ordinary innocent people that suffer all the time.
Fighting violence with violence, and a lot of innocent people are being killed. I think it was quite rushed, the whole thing, straight afterwards, how
America went straight in and was bombing.
My thoughts against President Bush aren't so positive. I think he's a bit too aggressive. That was the first thing I was afraid of when 11 September happened. What will he do?
Going onto the streets, I thought, okay, Kristen, you know, just make sure that you get a wider range of opinions. You ask different people, and that's what we did on the streets. We just went up to people and asked them, you know, no preconceived notions. We just asked people, and I thought they would be even a little more supportive about the war and about America in general.
And there's a lot of good things about America. They do get a pretty bad reputation, you know, overseas, which is unfortunate in quite a lot of ways, because I think there's a lot of good to come out of there, especially in terms of being proud of the country.
Afghanis getting killed, it was the same thing. It was just a reciprocation, what happened. I mean, they kill and they kill again. Americans kill again, so it's one and the same.
What do you think about the war in Afghanistan? Are you against it?
I don't condone what Bin Laden done, yeah, but he was trying to show America that Afghanistan's not no one to play with.
I see America as a big boy in the playground, like the stud, the guy who's good on the football team, and the rest of the world is being, say, like people around him. Whatever he says, everyone is going to listen to him.
America do think they're the world police because they can go into other people's countries. They don't even need to go to the countries. They can talk on television and say, give up this, give up that. Like Saddam Hussein, they want him to give up his nuclear weapons. I mean, America themselves do have nuclear weapons themselves.
If you push someone into a corner, you give them no options, what do you expect?
So basically, well, I don't say every American is bad, but America are the scum of the earth.
I don't think the government can feel so much of a victim as it does, and I don't think it's fair that the whole world portrays America as such a big victim when it clearly isn't.
I believe that America is the greatest terrorist in the world at this moment, and that Bush is responsible for one hell of a lot of the problems going on.
It was really hard just to stand there and videotape her when she said that Americans are the terrorists, and I'd really like to see how she'd feel if she knew someone or lost someone in the September 11th attacks.
After London, we traveled north to Dublin by train and ferry.
Hello, my name is Thomas Stanley. Welcome to Dublin.
I loved Ireland. It's quiet, you know, I liked it because it was a slow atmosphere, you know, it wasn't so high-paced, and I just like the fact that you can go into a restaurant or a bar and just kind of talk to people that you never have before.
What happened on September the 11th was like an assault on civilization in a way, but some of the response to it has been an assault on civilization also.
Well, I think the events of September 11 were very significant for Irish people in that it would be very hard to find somebody here who doesn't have some relative based in the United States. So much so that the country had a National Day of Mourning on the Friday following those tragic events, and here in the post office we opened a book of condolences.
I think one of the things that I was most pleased about, Kristen, is that the immediate reaction of the Irish people was, what can we do? How can we help?
If you were to understand the depth of feeling here in Ireland over what happened in North America on September the 11th, I think the gravity of it was such that you might sense that it had happened here in this island.
Ireland was declared to be closer to Boston than Berlin, and that in the Irish psyche, we are almost the 51st state.
The country was closed down, the pubs, the schools, everything. The only place you saw people gathered were the churches, and people spilling out of the churches. And when we would stop and get out, and some people knew us, some people didn't, but they tagged us as American, and they would just spontaneously come up and say, we're so sorry, what can we do? And the essence of what they all said in various forms, and some more articulate than others, is you, our American cousins, have been there for us for so long.
If anything, maybe there was a lot to be learned from the American spirit, which was, you know, fairly soon afterwards, America is open for business.